Hey guys, welcome to my time machine. So I am back here in Ohio, back where I grew up, right? Mom's house, and broadcasting live from here. So a little bit less technology than we usually have. Oddly enough, probably a little less problems than we normally experience. But hey, this morning's cues right out of the playbook, right? So if you went to SuperVol Sunday, or if you're coming to SuperVol Saturday in Orlando, this stuff was exactly what we covered there. Every single concept came into play today. Every single thing worked out perfectly. Guys in the first hour trading pit who were there asked for, hey, could you do a rundown of the strategies again? Just refresh our memory about, what's coming up and what we're doing. We did that, and everything acted and behaved exactly the way that we thought it was going to. So with that said, I want to go and dig in, take a look at what happened this morning. We had big economic numbers. We had the GDP number was great. The existing home sales number was up. Right, it was expected to be down. It was actually up, so we were looking for a minus 0.5%. We wound up with a plus 0.3%. That's actually a pretty big divergence. So, made for some interesting trading this morning. And I just want to go over everything and talk about what I'm going to do this afternoon. All right. So with that said, let's have a look at those charts. Here you see it. This is the QQQ this morning. We had this big gap move higher. And, Eric latched on to the fact that, when we get up into this range up here on a gap open, specifically on a gap open, that's not when you trade through there over the course of the day. It's not, it's not about anything other than we gapped open and we got above a threshold level. When we get above that threshold level, we know what the probabilities are. So if you look at the table values in your QQQ course, in the SuperVol Sunday thing that we did, or if you go into boot camp, then you know this as well, or you're going to know it anyways. We are expecting this move back down here, and we have been looking for it all morning. Now, that's not to say that in the beginning of the trading day, we didn't do a continuation of this, because we were expecting to see this move higher, and we locked in on it. We grabbed it on the open. We traded it straight up. That was actually on the NQ, where I had a bunch of stray fills and all sorts of fun stuff, but luckily everything went in the right direction, so I didn't care. But the later trades, the ones in the triple Qs, Eric asked about, where do we look for the reversals? And I said, look for those around the horn patterns. So you could look at this thing up here a little, a couple different ways. So I like to say in the spirit of. So if you're an around the horn fan and, you're looking for something that makes a bar pattern that lines up with the stuff in the Around the Horn book, or in the Income Trading Academy stuff, or in any of the training that you've done, then what you should do in the back of your mind is sort of look at things like this triple top here and say, well, what is going on up there? Is that forming an infield fly? Is that forming a double header? The answer to all those questions is yes, because those three bars together are setting up the same thing as an infield fly bar or a double header bar on a daily chart. So it's all about your time compression. You can go full with the time compression and knock this down from a 5-minute to a 3-minute, or go out from a 5-minute to a 7-minute or a 10-minute or whatever, and get those bars to look the way that you want them to look. But I don't think you need to. I think you just need to bear in mind, you learned how to do this. You paid a bunch of money to go to an event. You paid to learn something. It's tuition, and it's just like any other tuition that you pay in life. You have to then go and apply it. So once you can apply the concepts, once you can go through and just sort of see these things in your mind's eye, things get a lot easier. So what weren't we looking for on the reversal setups? Well, first off, you're not really at that point in the day looking for this or this down here to give you any indication of a reversal. Why is that? Because when you have a big gap higher, then what these guys are going to do is put in a really wide set of bands, and those are useless because they don't actually tell you anything about the dynamics of what's going on with price right now. But over the course of the morning, right, as we had these trades set up, we knew we wanted to short this 384 level because we had an anchored VWAP right there, right? And then we went and we shorted down from that support and resistance and the anchored VWAP, and we had a first target here at $382.94, and we had then an extension target, as I went over with all of you guys in the room, and Eric in particular was focused on this thing right out of the book, right out of the playbook, which makes me happy, means he was paying attention, means he was watching and everybody was learning something, and that's a feather in everybody's cap, especially mine, because I love teaching. So when we had that move completed, when it came down and it hit that 381.37 line, that got us down into our primary target on that trade. So we had a first target, we had the main target, excuse the locust or whatever the heck that is chattering in the background, and then we had a move back up again. And in the room we said, you know, what's the retracement that we're looking for, right? So were we looking for the big retracement that would get you, you know, all the way up into this level right here, or were we looking for a different retracement? And the different retracement was the one that, in fact, I said in the room that we were looking for. And the reason for that was that once this move was in place, we had a nice ratio move higher here, got us right back up into our volume weighted average price for the session, got us right back up into this anchored volume weighted average price, all the pieces in place. And when you got to that 382.94 line, right, we already had the strategy in place. We talked about it live in the room. We've got lots and lots of live bodies who witnessed it. 382.94 was your entry price, 381.37 was your target, and your interim target on this, if price showed signs of exhaustion, was right here, and your re-entry price was right below that level. So that enabled us to hop out when we hit this threshold level, this anchored VWAP. It lined up with this volume by price over here. That told us there was probably going to be hesitation right there, so we didn't want to wait too long. Grab those profits, right? We grabbed about 60 cents per share in profits on that one, and then when it ticked back down again, you know, you just hop back in and you get it down into this level here. Same thing's happening right now. Had the same play, just came right back again, got above this threshold level, 382.94, gave us a short side entry lined up right with, drew the line a little bit crooked there, but lined up with our anchored VWAP again and our volume by price threshold. So you can see, right, how all of this stuff, I can't draw a straight line to save my life today, but how all that stuff lines up to give you an indication of where you should be looking for an entry and an exit. The other thing I told you in the room was that these guys right here were going to narrow, and in fact they have narrowed, and that tells us where we have confluence in terms of a 2 standard deviation move away from our average that lines up with a volume by price threshold. You can see that volume by price is definitely at a threshold level right here, and then we have a histogram down here, and sort of another little histogram up here, and then of course our histogram down below. Those are all places that we can look for price to inflect, and over the course of the day, I think that the most likely thing that's going to happen is, you know, we're going to see some trading in this box for a while, pounding back and forth between that pivot and 2 standard deviations up and out, and that's going to give us some opportunities for some short side entries. And then don't forget that your bias on the day overall is still going to be on the long side, even though the probability favors us in general that we're going to see a move down into this range somewhere over the next little bit. Once we get down in here, you know, let's say we come all the way down into here, then you might want to stay alert for anything that looks like a reversal back up into here. Don't get tricked into just staying short. If you see it moving higher again, start looking for those pullbacks and that orderly trading up into the range over the course of the day. So that's a handful today, right? That's a bunch of stuff, but I think that you know, you guys, you know what you're doing, and you definitely are able to latch on to exactly what to do. And so let's just keep our eye on the ball, keep focused, and then I will check back in with you, or I will see everybody tomorrow in the first hour trading pit. All right? Yep.